Hey everybody, it's Gordon. Welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to do a quick video on a Stanley Rosewood tote repair, and our subject today has two issues, so we're going to do 50% of it. We're going to get the bottom half of this guy. But as you can see, he clearly has a horn issue. We'll come back. I've already talked about horn techniques, but we're going to do that again. For today, I have a toe issue, or right in the mounting hole. As you can see, there's a crack and a split there. It's pretty clean. I don't see any other issues. So we're going to repair that. And we've got some options. And of course, one would be extreme. If we had a lot of issues, we're missing a side or a split, or there's some integrity, I might cut the entire bottom off. And then we would go to something like this, a candidate, where we would cut the bottom of this guy off and graft him in. Or, as you've seen in MJ's videos, he talks about keeping some, spare parts around, like little pieces of rosewood. Here's a piece of an old fence. Obviously, I use, other rosewood totes that were scrapped along the way as salvage parts. And here we were peeling some material off a rosewood horn. So there's always the option of replacing the whole bottom. Recently, I acquired some Brazilian rosewood. These were steak knife handles. And I absolutely love these guys. You've probably seen me talk about it before. Super excited to have that. And in preparation for the video, I went ahead and joined two of them together. So in this case, I have a Brazilian rosewood foundation, or a base. And if we were to remove the entire bottom of this guy, we could graft him back on, reshape it complete, re-drill the main hole, re-drill the toe, and we would have a completely new Brazilian rosewood base on this one. I don't think I want to do that. As I look at this guy, why would we cut him and introduce another seam? In this case, again, I think the integrity of this tote is solid. So we really just want to clean this out in the front, and we're going to graft a piece back in, and then clamp him, let him sit, and then we'll reshape it, and I think we'll call that good. I think it'll disappear real well. Then we'll come back and hit the toe. Or the horn, rather. So how do we do that? For starters, I'm just going to take a piece of plywood, and I make a sled, right? We need to affix him on, because we're going to make this cut on the table saw, and I'm going to have the blade come into the toe, and I want to clean those two edges, because I want a balanced joint, and I want it to be super flat. I want it to be clean. So I'm going to go ahead and just open it up, and I'm not really going to do that by hand. So let's get a hot melt glue gun and get this guy secured, and then we'll head to the table saw. Okay, so we're at the table saw, and as you can see, I did secure this to my little sled. I use hot melt glue. It's super stable, and again, it doesn't cause any damage to the rosewood, so I like using hot melt to hold my parts. And I'm going to show you this without guards and without the saw running. This is strictly for the sake of the video. This is not how I run the product. But the idea here, again, is I'm going to move ahead, and I'm going to clean up and just cut into that part, and then I adjust my fence, and I come back and do another cut. So in the end, you can see that I end up with a really clean pocket, if you will. A nice little cut right out of the center. If I can get that back in frame, there you go. So I end up with a nice little clean pocket, and then we're gonna produce a piece of rosewood and put it in there. I'll also put a small kerf in the bottom of this, so that when I squeeze it in the clamps, I can get some pressure there on the nose. Okay, so we're off the saw. We cut our little piece, our filler piece, and in this case, let me get some lighting here for us. I went ahead and stuck my little block in there, and I'm using Titebond 2 for this repair. And as you can see, if I remove my clamp, I went a little oversized, and I always, I've tried fitting things super tight or just being a miser on material, and sometimes that doesn't work out. So in this case, just go big, put it in there a little bit bigger to give you something to hold on to. And it's within 1,000th or so of that gap, so I don't need a lot of pressure, but I do feel that I need some clamp pressure. So we're just gonna put a little clamp on that guy and let him sit. And when we're all good and ready to sand or shape, we can remove the excess material off of the bandsaw. We'll open that hole back up, and he'll be back in business. Okay, so we're at this point where our little infill piece is starting to take shape, and I'm working under magnification, so I just have a standard bench mount magnifying glass. And what I like to do is just take your time. You know, we're not in a race. There's no hurry. And if you just use the right tools and you sneak up on it, I like to use, you know, a sharp blade, and I'm trying to stay away from sandpaper, of course, as they would have in the day, but I'm just using a file, and I'm trying to get as close down to the original rosewood as I can. And the challenge here becomes, you've got, you know, freshly exposed grain on our little filler strip, and you've got the patina, you know, of the original tote. We want to leave that, and you can't have both. So here's what I propose. Because there's a flat surface here, and you know that's going to catch the light and show us a certain color, I'll go ahead and file, and we'll remove a little bit of the patina around this so that we can kind of recolor this. We'll tint that back in with a colored wax and fill it after we get our hole, you know, reopened up too. But the point of that is, take your time. You know, that's really it, because we're removing material. You can always take more off. You know, we're starting over if we have to add. So just sneak up on it. This is the part of the project where patience and time, you know, is really important. I think very important. And now what I'm going to do to open this hole up is I'm going to use a Dremel tool. I do these things by hand because I find that I feel like there's much more control, and I'm just using a little spiral bit, and I'll do this entirely by hand, and I'll work from the bottom. Again, you know that the screw is going to cover up the fine line or the edge on this hole, so that's not an excuse to be rough about it, but I just know that I've got a little bit of border there, margin to work with. And also, again, you know, it's not about drill press and power sanders and trying to make this thing go quick, because I'm not really doing this for speed or for volume, and you know, trying to just take our time. So at this point, we've got that hole cleared out. I just want to do a test fit. So, you know, periodically along the path to restoration, you want to make sure that everything's going okay. So I just threw this on a 5 body to try and get an idea what that's going to look like in certain light, you know, with the screw attached. And again, it's a really quick test fit to make sure that we're happy with the way it's going. Actually, I like the shades. And you know, and the multi-tone in there, it kind of helps it disappear, because I think a lot of times if we put something brand new in and there's a huge contrast, or it shows up, you know, then it's obvious. But this guy, we know we're going to have to do the horn on anyway, so I like where we are so far. I'll take it back off this base. We'll do some final tuning there and make sure that we love it, and we'll move on. Okay, let's take a closer look here and see what we got. I'll back up a little bit. And for those of you that are wondering if I save rosewood dust. I know that's kind of a thing, right? People talk about sawdust and being able to do repairs and use in shavings. I have a few little collections of Brazilian rosewood dust, but I'll also say, let me move my camera. There's no shortage of rosewood. Now this is all Brazilian, and I can use you know, some of these to graft and can put those in. Or we use the sawdust, and that's just super easy to take a scrap or take a piece like this and just scrub it on some sandpaper and create something fresh. So I don't really store a lot of Brazilian rosewood scraps and sawdust because I generally make it on a weekly basis. So we're gonna call this toe repair a wrap. I hope you guys found this helpful and that there was something to be gained. If you have any comments or suggestions or questions, feel free to just hit the comment section. Please like and subscribe if you find these helpful or useful. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.